For you. My manager comes to me and says, developers just finished a new functionality. The new functionality is to be able to add an employee. Right? New functionality. Now, don't look up here. We're just reasoning things out. How would I test this functionality?
By clicking on add new employee.
Okay, by adding a new employee.
Name, everything, and save it.
Okay, good, save it, and then what? We're done?
Save
Log out, log
What's
back
the point
in.
of the test case?
Verify
We have to check whether the new employee is added on.
That the new employee is actually there, right? That's the point of the test case? Alright, good. So how do we verify that there is actually a new employee added, assuming we have a database with several thousand employees in it?
By ID.
By ID. That's why this thing comes in, right? Now, if we just add an employee and we look by last name, we might get several back, right? But we're going to charge by ID because those are unique. It's just easier for us for now. So far, so good? That's what we're doing. Real world situation, new functionality. You can add an employee. Your job as a QA is to verify that it works. So you're going to add an employee, then search for the employee, make sure you found the employee, like that. So far, so good? Okay. This comes with a little disclaimer. This is a very non-sophisticated system we got here. So if all 40 of us try to add an employee, it's going to issue the same employee ID to all of us at the same time. And that means 99% of us are not going to get a successful test case. Make sense to everybody? So when we do this test case at home, when we practice this at home, there's no problems because it gives us a new ID, and we're the only person accessing the thing at the time, and so there's no conflict. But all 40 of us, it kind of has a little seizure. Okay? Now, IDs are primary keys. If you know anything about databases, there can only be one unique ID per row, right? That's what they're called, primary keys. So, having said that, we're going to do a little bit of a funky workaround. Okay? Funky workaround. Instead of what it says over here to do, we are going to do the manually type in an ID, then right-click on it and save it. Okay? And instead of a 4-digit ID, we get to choose an 8-digit ID because it's less likely that all of you will choose the same 8-digit number. You are not allowed to choose 1111111 or 1234567 or 00001. Pick something random and write it down. Okay? Because when you perform a search for it, you need to remember what you put into the ID in the first place. So 8 digits. I know it's a little bit of a convoluted thing, but when you go home and try this again, you don't have to type it in. You can do it just like it says here, step by step. All right? Deal? But while we're here, and there's so many of us, even with 10 people, it still doesn't seizure. But with 40, yeah, it goes. So far, so good? So everybody understands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demo what I want you to do without anybody messing around with the connection. I want it to be fast. And after that, I'm going to do it again together with you guys. Okay? So first, just me. Nobody's doing anything with the connection. And then, everybody and me. It's going to be pretty fun. Alrighty. So, step 1. Open the Selenium ID. Make sure it's recording. And start typing in admin, password, login. Now, there's multiple ways you can add an employee. You can either go to PIM, add employee, or you can say add. We're going to do the lazy way, add.
You test both though, right?
You would test both. In this case, let's just do the add button, okay? It's easier for all of us here. Going to do add. And the connection will be slow. Now, again, if you're at home, what you would do, if you're at home, remember how I said if you're at home? You would just right-click on this and say store value. You guys see that? Because I'm not at home, I'm going to do something kind of stupid. I'm going to type in a value and then say store value. So I'm going to pick a random number. 8 digits. And I'm going to write it down somewhere. All of you have some kind of notebooks or notepads, so we're going to assume you do it there. And then I'm going to enter the last name. I can't, come on.
Fine.
No, let's do like some fun one, like,
Sucker.
okay. Come on, people. Fun one. I don't know Madonna's last name.
Кирпичников.
Six Flags.
All right, fine, let's do that. Flags. First name, 6. And then we're going to say save. Oh my gosh, and I forgot a step. You guys saw me forget a step?
Yeah.
What did I forget to do? Save value as? Yeah. That's okay. I'll show you how to fix it if you forget. And I guarantee you will forget.
Ellie, but how come you have to write it down if it still gives it to you as the value when you look at it? It does give you.
I have these side by side. If you guys don't have them side by side, I don't want you to have to switch. But anyways, we're going to assume that at some point over here, you did this. Excuse me. Store value. But you did it by right-clicking, not manually like I'm doing. And then you said code. All right? I'm going to demonstrate again. So you're going to right-click. Oops, not letting me do that. You're going to say right-click, and then you're going to do store value. I'm just showing you, right? In this case, it's store text. You're going to do store value, right? Everybody understands? And when you click it, something like this will pop up. And you're going to say code in here.
Typing code.
Yeah. Remember, I'm going to do this again, and I'm not going to accept that next time. Okay. So in any case, I'm still recording. After I get over here, I'm going to go PIM, employee list, right? And I'm going to say search by employee ID, and then type in my employee ID, 7766. Again, please choose something random. Don't do something that's everybody gonna do. Search. And then I'm going to right-click on Six Flags, right? Right-click
And assert.
and say assert text. And then I'm gonna say log out. Right? That's it. I'm gonna get a somewhat long script, just like this. And if I play it immediately back, it will fail. Why will it fail immediately if I play it back? Because we're going to be reusing the same number. And we can't reuse the same number. You guys see how that works? So before we even start debugging it, we're going to have to make one additional change. So don't debug. Record. Stop recording. I don't know. Facebook. Right? I'm going to do a lot of Facebooking in my class. You might as well open an account. No, but in all honesty, everybody understands, right? Okay, let's do it together, and this time I promise not to mess up the whole store value thing. Okay, and stop recording. Don't forget. All right. So here we go. One more time. Everybody open HRM. Everybody open Selenium IDE. Make sure your recording button is on. And we're going to do this together, very slowly.
Oh, we want to record?
Yes, we want to record. Everyone's recording at the same time because last time the whole group 1, group 2 thing didn't work anyway.
That didn't believe.
So, step 1, admin. Step 2, password. Step 3, login. And we all patiently wait for the page to load. I'm going to count to like 10 to make sure everybody loaded. Okay, everybody loaded?
Yeah.
Good. Next step, click the add button. Enter a random 8-digit number that you also remember for later.
Not confident.
Add employee.
Add. Everybody enter the code? Right after entering the code, you will do what? Right click on it and say store value, just like that.
Store value ID, right?
You will know that it's the right thing that you chose because it will be followed by the number that you entered. Everybody found this?
Yeah.
Once you click on this, a dialog will open up. What are we storing, people?
Code.
The code. So what are we going to call our variable?
Code.
The code. Awesome.
Store ID there to verify value ID or store value ID.
Store value.
Store
Yes.
value.
Type code.
Store value. And you're going to say, okay. So far, so good? Now you enter any last name, any first name.
Save.
It's a little counterintuitive when you want to put something funny because you have to put the second part first and the first part second. So far, so good? The next step is to say save. Again, you have to be patient while the page reloads. There's 40 people trying to attack this server.
Should we memorize? How
Do we store automatic?
last name, first name should we
No,
memorize?
the first and last name you don't have to memorize. At least not in this case. Now, once the page has reloaded, right, what do we want to do? We want to do PIM employee list, right? PIM employee list. And from here on, I think all of you know what to do. Search, enter the ID, click the search button. I'll wait a couple seconds for everybody to catch up at this point, okay? So search.
Would it work if we use the asterisk here, like the all, the star? Search for 0022 star.
I don't know how that's gonna work in all honesty. I think it does exact matching, so you might get something funky. I have never tried it before, so I don't know. Results cannot be guaranteed at this time.
So then search. That's it.
After that, we click search. And what do we do?
Right click.
Right click on the name, assert text, right? Not assert text present, assert text,
And log out.
and happily log out.
Where is this?
There's the
Text,
On that one, that's
text,
This one?
and log out.
and log out. Now, I'm going to leave my code up so you guys can kind of draw clues. What's the last step that I forgot to do?
Stop recording.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was trying.
And then stop recording. Oh, so run it.
Wait.
Okay,
Should we?
so let's talk about coding.
So we stop.
We stopped. Everybody stopped?
Yes.
Okay, let's rephrase the question. Who hasn't? Good, awesome. Okay, everyone's on the same page. Okay, can somebody tell me what we did here? What did this line do? Where? Ooh, magic word, variable. What's a variable?
Something can change.
Does it matter?
Okay, good definition. And if I don't know computers at all, can you describe it to me as if I'm a 5-year-old? What's a variable?
Random numbers.
Holding place for something.
It's like a little like safe, and you can put anything you want into it. All right? It's one of those expanding safes. We can put something very big into it or very little into it. Okay? That's what it is. It's a storage device. And you can put anything, anything. In this case, we're putting a number into it. We could have just as easily put a string into it, or an entire sentence. I'm sorry, a word, or an entire sentence, or whatever. There's a whole bunch of other stuff. A list of things. Okay, so what we did was we created a variable. Okay? Now, the thing about a variable is, it's kind of like, actually, let's use a better analogy. It's kind of like a mailbox. If you're in an apartment complex, right? And you know which mailbox belongs to you because it has a little number on it. Well, that number is the name of your variable. And here, the name of our variable is code. So anytime we tell our Selenium to go look inside code, it's going to find the number we stored inside it. That makes sense to everybody, right? Or in the bank, a safety deposit box. Again, it has a name, specific name, G12 or, I don't know, A29, right? Go in there, you open it up, there's something in there. It's the same thing that you put in there, it's still in there. Make sense? That's what a variable is. A variable has a name and something stored inside it. Technically, it could be empty, but emptiness is still something. You guys know that, right? Air. Okay. So, having said that, we also need to know specific syntax to let Selenium know that what you are actually wanted to do is to go get the value from the box rather than just to type in the name of the box. Does that make sense? So if I'm going to tell Selenium, type G12, how does Selenium know? Do I mean my safety deposit box? Or do I mean G12? Or if I say type code, do I mean type CODE? Or do I mean type, go to code, retrieve the value, type the value? Everybody sees the difference? How does Selenium know? Selenium has a little special syntax you have to say in order for it to be able to tell between a word and a variable. Alright? So word, you don't have to do anything. See, we did a whole bunch of words and it had no problem, right? But if you wanted to actually take the value from a variable and replace that into this field, you're gonna say dollar sign, just like this, curly bracket. This is where your variable name goes, and then curly bracket. You guys saw that? So what goes here? In our case, code. The name of our variable is code. So when we want to use the value that's stored inside code, we're going to say dollar sign, curly bracket, code, curly bracket. Now, here's the distinction. To save into a variable, you don't have to put curly brackets. To use the value from the variable, you have to put the curly brackets. Everybody sees the difference? Okay, because sometimes people get confused and they'll put a curly bracket around here as well, and then it gets kind of weird because they have to do dollar sign, curly bracket, dollar sign, curly bracket. It just becomes messy. Make sense? So to store, no special stuff needed. To retrieve, special stuff needed. Make sense? Yes? Okay, having said that, what we want is to mess around with our code a little bit. First of all, we wanted to actually retrieve the automatic value with the signs, right? We don't want to assign our own value. We wanted to take the value that it automatically assigns. You guys remember that it automatically assigns a value each time? So this line we won't need anymore. You can delete this line where you type stuff in. That was the workaround. So you can delete it for now. Can everybody delete this line?
What type?
Type and your special number the first time around.
Are you able to tell it to generate a random number?
It does every single time you create a new employee. So every one of you, when you go to that page, you get that 4-digit code.
Is Selenium able to generate its own number?
Yes, but that's not until day 3.
And I'm asking a quick question. For me, it just recorded bottom and then name,
I don't know what happened. Did you stop recording for some reason?
It just
Okay.
stops at some point.
No, it shouldn't stop. I think you either triggered something or did something. Can you re-record? Do you need help? Go ahead and clear everything up and just start recording again. Control A to select everything and then just do it. And don't forget to click the record button before you start. Okay. So this line is gone. Line number 2, you are now storing the code that will be provided for you by the helpful server. Make sense? So you don't know what it is. Who knows what it is? Who's psychic? Nobody knows what it is, right? It's magically random. So how do you know what to search for now?
Search for code.
Do you know? Do you type in a number? No, but the code knows, right? Your variable code is storing that number that was magically provided for you. So now instead of searching for this number, what are you searching for? The value inside code, which basically means instead of this, you're going to have to put what? Curly brackets?
Dollar
Dollar sign curly brackets. Good. So go ahead, click on this line. And then how do you modify it?
Go to the value.
To the bottom and change the value. Good. Excellent.
Just put dollar.
So select the line, go to the bottom, and you're gonna say dollar sign, curly brackets, not round, you guys, curly. It's very important that they're curly. And you're gonna say code.
Curly bracket.
Where's curly bracket? Oh, good.
So far so good? Okay. So let me ask you a question. When we were recording this and all 40 of us went to this server, I told you things are not gonna work, right? If all 40 of us play the script at the same time, are things gonna work any better? No. So we're gonna have to play the script back in small little groups to debug. Okay? I'm not gonna wait for a long time. I'm just gonna say go, you're gonna press the button. Go, press the button. Go, press the button. So there's just a little bit of a difference between all of us. Okay? So far so good? Alright, so nobody's running right now your script, but once I say go to you and I point in your general direction, you press play. And hopefully we're gonna minimize the amount of errors we have that way. Okay? So here we go. Go. Okay, if you still got an error, you get to do the whole, let's replay it again, play. Okay? If you didn't get an error, then give other people a chance. Alright, hold on you guys.
Yeah, it's that one.
Is this the line that's broken for everybody?
You're lower.
Congratulations, your IDE still has a bug. It still cannot process CSS to save its own life. How do you work around this? You click on this line, and from the target, you select a different locator that is not CSS. Don't ask me why. For some reason, this IDE has problems with CSS.
So what do we select? Input form?
Just pick a different one. I am not picky. It's just the CSS that it has problems with. That's why, as you can see, I don't record CSS. So just select something else that's not this bottom part. Pick one. Anyone. This one, this one, this one, this one. You can do the whole Rochambeau, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Doesn't matter. Pick something not CSS. Huh?
You didn't save and reopen.
Yes, if you didn't save and reopen. If you saved and reopened, time. This one looks like the shortest one to type, so you can do that one. Actually, this one where it says input at value add might be a better bet for you because you can actually tell what it is. Yeah.
Fields on there.
There's what? Stored value what?
Value, I see this
Let me come over there. Give me a second.
Fields on the main employee ID. The search employee ID by employee ID. Fields on that.
Him first, you second. Alright, once you change the locator for CSS, if it breaks on a different locator that has CSS, same story. If it breaks on a third ID that has CSS, same story. You see what's happening here? Everything that starts with CSS, your ID has a bug with. Now, if you were to immediately export to Java, it would have no problems. It's just the ID. Problems you could have ran into, right? Two problems. One, the bug that has the whole CSS issue. What was the solution? Pick a new locator. Good, we got a new keyword. Okay. Number two issue that you could have had was not enough time because it's clicking and not waiting. Only two problems. So if you fixed both of those, your script should be beautiful.
So in that part, some people might have just had click.
Now,
right?
there is a third problem, and that is if two people try to execute at the same time, and that's when you go to verify the name, and the name says, oh, I'm sorry, it's the wrong name. But that one you can see with your eyes, okay? If you go in and you're verifying that it says Bob Smith and what you see is Jane Doe, rerun your script. It's one of those conflicts that happened, okay? So, just try a couple times. If your script still doesn't work, I'll try to solve it. There's another thing that happens sometimes. Sometimes we get kind of distracted by things that happen on the outside and we click the wrong thing and then we decide to click the back button and then we try to continue recording. What we end up with is a script that's out of order, and the only solution for that is re-record.
Yeah, re-record.
Okay? Now, having said that, if you still have a problem, let me start the rest of the group on the next test case, and I will go through and help everybody else who still needs help. Okay? But there's a lot of people here. I don't want to hold them back, and we do want to finish the class at 7:30. Okay? We all want to go home.
Well, there you go. It'll work. You recorded twice.
Aha. Which line? Show me. Which line is red? This line is red. Look here. So what was the problem last time? Remember the problem last time, the one we fixed in class? What did we fix before break? There's another clue for you. Can you go back to log? Can you go back to log? Another clue for you is that it's saying actual value is OHHRM blah 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 blah, and this is the actual title of the internals. But this means you're still logged in. It found the value that it should have found when it was still logged in, while it was trying to verify that you're logged out. Right?
What I did,
It records it automatically. There's a setting next week that we're going to use. For now, don't worry about it. You guys, for now, if you don't have a cert title like I do automatically, it's not a problem. It's not an issue. Next week, if you really want them like I do, we'll click a little checkbox and we'll automatically put them in for you. Excitement. For now, don't worry. Okay? No worries. Everyone's happy.
Okay.
Okay. We want to save this test case. We want to save it in 1. A location we can later find. B. With a name that actually tells us what it does, such as store value or store code search by ID or store ID, whatever you want to call it. And 3. .html. Right? Can everybody do that? I'm going to give you 1 minute to do that. Come on, quickly.
I saved this case.
We save everything we do here. Yes. I love your reaction. That's what I want to hear.
I've been trying to. I've done it like I've probably done it like 6 times now.
Alright, you guys, it's 10:19. I always try to finish the class at 10:30, so I'm going to go over homework. Okay? Under day 1, there is a homework.txt file. This is what you get inside. What do you need to do? You need to log in. You need to add an employee. Everybody knows how to do that now. And then you're going to search for that employee by their last name. So far, so good? You're going to click on that employee's last name, and you're going to assign them some employee details, such as job title. All right? I'm going to show this all in the UI. That's fine. If this doesn't make sense, don't worry. Remember, I'll show you. After you assign them the job title, you're also going to assign them employment status. And then you're going to say, search for them, and verify that the job title and the stuff that you assigned to them as in, what is it called, employee status, got stored. And you're going to log out. So far, so good? Not difficult. Actually, hold on, maybe I can make it a little. I don't know if I want to search by last name or not. I might have you just search by ID.
Because there might be more than one with the same last name, right?
Yeah. And I removed the delete functionality from you guys. You guys used to have a delete functionality in the database. I had to suppress it because people were deleting stuff they shouldn't. Like everything.
So just search by the primary?
Let's just do by ID still, okay? But since you're going to be doing it at home, you're not going to have a problem with the whole type in the ID. You can do the whole thing again with the store ID. That's the same thing we did in class, right? Essentially. You get to repeat the experience. But what I want you to do after you create your employee is to assign job title and assign an employment status. So far, so good? And then you're going to come back and you're going to verify that those are correct. And then you're going to log out. That's it. Very difficult, right? It's not as easy as it seems, and I'll tell you why. So let's watch what I'm going to do now, and I'm going to point out why it's not as easy as it seems. Okay? All right, everybody's looking. Nobody is playing. Admin, password, login. I'm going to add an employee. Don't have to mess around with the code because you're going to be doing this at home. Nobody to compete with. Okay? Last name, John. I'm sorry, Doe. John. We'll call him Johnny. And save. Right? Now, we are going to be taken to this page. Right? We're going to remember the code. 7326. Everybody remember 7326? Because I'm not going to. You're going to have to help me. Over here on the left side, you see the job link. You guys see the job link? Click the job link. Over here on the bottom, you see the edit button. You have to click the edit button, otherwise you can't really change any of these things. So click the edit button. Now, you're going to look very carefully. Oh, by the way, you see what's inside here? You see all the lots of things in here? If I choose CEO, see what happened to my cursor? It kind of went this. What does that usually mean? It's thinking. You know what it was thinking about?
Ooh. A new CEO.
All right. So basically, it is going to reload the second box. And that means if you immediately go and try to select something from that second box, it might not have anything in it. You're going to need to wait. I'm like spelling everything out now, right? You're going to need to wait.
But the page didn't reload.
It didn't. You're right. Ooh. There's a hint in the homework as to how to do it. Okay? You're going to have to figure it out on your own or Google it. Alright? But essentially, you're going to select this guy you're gonna, oh, don't choose terminated. If you choose terminated, guess what happens to your employee?
You gone.
Gone.
They're gone. So don't choose terminated. Choose something else. You don't want to terminate them.
You won't be able to recall.
Full-time. Save. What was the ID again, you guys?
7326.
PAM. Employee list. ID. 7326. Search. And make sure it says CO. And make sure it says full-time permanent. Right? How do we do this? Right click, assert text CO. Right click, assert text full-time permanent. And if you want to be really, really extra special, right click, Johnny Doe. Okay? I'm going to change the directions for the homework a little bit so you guys can remember that I said by ID instead of last name. So don't worry, if it looks a little different now, in about 10 minutes it won't. Okay?
So we
I'll
can
change
do
it
that
and I'll
now?
upload it. So you will be still on track. So far so good? Now, if you are totally bored with homework because you did it and you're just like so excited about all this other stuff, remember you have 2 other test cases that you can do that we didn't do in class. You guys remember that? We didn't have time, but you will have plenty of time at home to be excited. Now, again, these 2 test cases are test case number 1 and test case number 2. We did test case number 3. Test case number 1 is to search for manager, right? And then instead of checking that manager was returned, we're going to check that CO was not returned, staff was not returned, CFO was not returned. So far so good? Now, this guy is a little bit weird because it's not a real world situation. Why is it not a real world situation? When I search for manager, I'm going to get multiple rows returned, right? You guys don't know how to loop yet. In fact, this will be one of your homeworks, day 5, to loop. Right now, we don't know how to loop. Who knows how to loop an IDE? Nobody knows how to loop an IDE, right? If you do, you're in the wrong class, buddy. So instead, you're just going to pick the first row. Okay? So even if it returns 6 rows, first row. Just verify that the first row is not CO, not CFO, and not staff. So far, so good? How do you do that? You know how before we said assert text? You're going to do that, and then you're going to go back to your test case and manually add not. Assert not text. And then since you said assert not text, instead of manager, you're going to type in what?
Not
CFO.
CFO.
That's it. But you won't be able to say CEO, comma, staff, comma, CFO. So that means you're going to have to do what?
Copy paste.
Copy that command and paste it 2 more times. Alright? Pretty easy. So that's if you're bored at home and you don't know what to do. And, hey, it might rain and you might be really excited about Selenium. Let me see the second one. And I think test case number 2 we'll do together next time. Okay?
So just one.
So number 1 priority, homework. Number 2 priority, if you just really want extra practice, test case number 1. Test case number 2, don't worry, we'll do next time in class. Alright? And I'll see you next week. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Oh, and email me if you need to.